Guys, what's up? IrishEmerald here, and welcome back to our Week 1 Power Rankings for the UBL D-League. And of course, we are joined by none other than AutoMatthic.
What's going on, guys? AutoMatthic here, excited to jump into the season. I enjoyed the games a lot. How about you?
I'm not going to lie, there was very, very impressive matches this week. I'm very surprised to see some of the skill that we actually saw. Some of the matches I was like, yeah, very impressive outings. Very impressive outings.
Yeah, for sure, entertaining as well. So I'm down to jump into these power rankings here. So this is gonna be week 1, and one quick mention we, at least from my point of view, but I think you will agree with this, is of course we did have the post-draft power rankings. Now they are gonna be taken into consideration. Of course, over the course of the season, the battles are gonna weigh more heavily, but I'm personally not going to drop or bump up a team too heavily, which I believe in or not believe in, just based on one match. So there are definitely changes for me as well, but I'm not going to jump the gun just based on one game if I do like a team, for example.
Are you sure now? You sure?
I'm sure.
No roasting today, no? No roasting?
I mean, that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Okay,
anyways,
just checking, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this video is coming out on Valentine's Day, so I'm not sure.
We should be feeling the love, man.
Yeah,
Everyone
we should be giving love to these coaches. Okay, but this time around you'll see a little extra checkbox over there, of course, because you can now see by how many spots a team moved up or stayed the same place for both my side and Irish side for according to our last ranking. So you can kind of see what we swapped, and we're just gonna go over the matches. We're gonna when we're talking about a team, we're gonna mostly be talking about. Of course, we're talking about the match, but also mainly of that side of that team. So it's not like we're gonna talk match by match, but still just team by team.
Exactly.
Alright, so, and this time around, we actually do share the number 10 spot. It's not the only time, like, I think, how many teams did we share the last time? Two or something, maybe?
I think there was 2. We had, like, I think it was because you had the Shaymin-Sky up so high. All of my ones, we were kind of off one, if you get me. We had an offset of 1 as we went up, because you put that team so high and I put that team.
Yeah, but we're gonna start now.
Just a little bit.
We're gonna start off with yeah, what?
Straight in, no kissing.
Alright. We're gonna start off with the number 10, which for me is remaining, and you're dropped at 2 spots, which is the Toronto Tyrantrums. And before, I think your reason is gonna be more interesting than mine on this one, but I'm going to just go over the reason why I still have this at number 10, and basically I felt post-draft that this was the draft with the least potential to me personally, even though there were some cores I liked on it. And basically the way that Cynics has been playing week 1, I personally didn't, like, besides the loss, I just team build wise, and also just actually not even team build wise, team build was decent, but the match itself just didn't give me any reason to move this team up. So that's basically the easiest thing for my power rankings. Like, if you're at the bottom and you don't give me a reason to move you up, then there's no reason for me to do so. But you actually dropped it to 2 spots, so what made you come back to that decision for now?
Basically put, you cannot lose against the bottom ranked team in the post-draft power rankings and expect not to be dropped down to the bottom. That's the way I look at it, right? And you cannot lose to the bottom ranked team on my power rankings when you have the tight matchup, right? We started off last week, and I kind of, whether you want to say it or not, but I did roast Marla and told him that there were several massive weaknesses on his squad.
Oh yeah, that's actually,
like types.
That's actually
and
one
really good type.
There's actually
You know,
one
like
fun.
Gengar, Incineroar could have really capitalized against Marla. Should have been able to really do an awful lot of work. Like had like the monster be able to capitalize on the weaknesses. Never saw it really coming to fruition. And from start to finish, from turn 1, I just never felt that 6 got any momentum. And bringing Gengar on Bayonet when Bayonet gets access to Shadow Sneak.
Yeah. When he just picked Alphamon with Shadow Sneak too.
Yes, you know. So like, unless anything was coming in sashed, then I would have like yeah, fine. But like, I think at that point, Marla had a scout to say, yeah, I know you're not Sash, so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take shadows, take him.
Yeah, he was confirmed specs.
Like, oh, I definitely have to question, like, if you have the tight matchup, you have a good matchup against the bottom ranked team, those are matches you have to win. And he didn't win, so he has to drop. Simple as that.
Yeah, because that was one quick thing I want to mention. That the fun thing is that the team I had the number 10 and the team you had the number 10 post draft faced off against each other week 1. So that was kind of interesting. Well, basically, the things I want to add, because I can see your thought process here, but personally, I'm not sure. Maybe he mentioned it. I just had to go through all the team builders and all the matches, but again, it's a lot of content, so if I missed something, then I'm sorry, but I didn't really understand Power Up Punch on Mew when you can have Sword Stance.
I think he was probably running Power Up Punch as like a switch in. So, because remember, like, one of the points I made was that Hydreigon on Marla's team would have to be bulky most weeks to deal with the ball and the like. And I felt like that he was probably thinking, I could scare you, and bring in Hydreigon, go for the Power Up Punch, and go from there. Now, because he had Leech Life as well, to also be able to hit on the physical side against Hydreigon. Now, I don't agree with that set at all. I feel like if you're gonna, like, it would have been much more easier if you just brought like Dazzling Gleam to knock out the Hydreigon. If you're going to predict Hydreigon coming in, have Dazzling Gleam and said, yeah, I'm just going to knock you out now, and remove that threat off his team, and therefore allow Mew to have the space then whenever it comes in to put in the offensive pressure that you're looking for to do. So didn't quite agree with that one, build wise, and I didn't agree with Specs Gengar either. I felt if you're going to bring Gengar, knowing that he's going to have Victini, the mon that you're going to do an awful lot of work with, like offensively, probably should have been Scarf to kind of outspeed Victini and make sure that late game Gengar was going to be able to clean up for you.
Yeah, well, I didn't really question the physical Mew. I think, like, yes, it's definitely some sets that I like to run, which I have to give him.
Yeah.
Team building wise, he definitely tried to be more aggressive with his build. We said that he lacked breakers, and he really tried to come up with stuff like that, which I definitely respect. But I still think that in that case, Sword Stance gives you +2, Power Up Punch gives you +1. So I think there's no reason to not run SD. Also, given the fact that there was this 1v1 with Mew versus Slowbro, and if you had SD there, that 1v1 would have been for Mew. Now it was for Slowbro because you were only +1. So it already came to bite you there. And indeed, I think like Specs Gengar wasn't a bad bring, in my personal opinion. I just think the way you played it didn't work out, because like, we're gonna talk on Marlon later, but he was really, like, he knew that you were Specs, like, turn 2, because the Cobalion thing. Now, of course, you should have gone for it, no question. Like, if you can get 80 to 90% of a Cobalion, you should definitely do it. But I think from there, it was really easy for Marlon to play between Hydreigon, Komala, and Pokemons like that, just because he knew you were Specs. So I definitely feel you tried in this match with a right mindset, but I just felt like every single time you were not in the driver's seat, which you want to be with such an offensive build. Like, every time you had to respond to him, and that's fine, that can be a playstyle, but it is not the playstyle that fits with an offensive build.
Yeah, I think that was just it. He couldn't get a foothold in the game, and he caught the L this week, but you never know, he might bounce back next week.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the season is still long, so it's definitely not... We're not sitting here like, oh, he's going to be number 10 every single week. But, I mean, for me, he was post-draft. And, I mean, for you, he lost to your number 10, so you would bump him down. But also, by the way, one thing we quickly have to mention, we can put anyone anywhere we want. We don't have to look at the actual rankings themselves. I even didn't look at that at all when making this. So, just because I don't think he is lost in place. But, anyways, let's just move on to... the number 9, which you do not share with me. You actually have at number 7. You kept it at number 7. I put it down at 9. I actually had it at 6, and now it's going to be my number 9, so I assume that I should go ahead and explain it first.
Fire away, buddy. Fire away, I want to hear this.
Now, before jumping into the actual game, When I put this team at number 6, I already had a few doubts on the team, and I had it a little bit higher than maybe I should have, because like you said already, you had it at 7, which probably should have been more realistic post-draft. I had a lot of fears, a lot of worries about the team, but I also saw a lot of good things, which I thought, okay, this is going to be very scary to face if used right. Like, it still had a lot of sweeping potential, a lot of breaking potential, and I didn't want to underestimate that. But I also saw the weaknesses, and mainly the ground weakness, which we talked about, and also just in general defensive switch-ins. The problem with that, you really have to rely on Clefable, and those two things, both of them were actually confirmed to be true for me in week 1, which kind of adds up to each other and makes me drop this team just based on that. Before we even enter what actually happened in the match, that was my reason initially to just drop it in that sense. During the game,
was like -1 already. He was -1 already before even the battle began, folks. You know, that's how biased AutoMatthic was.
Basically, because that just confirmed my fears about the team and for that team itself. So that was basically one thing that I personally didn't like. And then the battle itself, I mean, he brought a really offensive team this week, which is totally fine, by the way. If hyper offense is your style play, and you want to bring Clefable plus 5 offensive mod, that's fine. I just feel like you had too many unnecessary sacks in this game. Like Darmanitan, Clefable, Crocodile, even Abomasnow. Like, those were unnecessary sacks in my opinion. And something team building wise, which I really couldn't get in, is we established this team is really weak to ground. And you're gonna face 2 tier 3 ground types, with good tier 3 ground types in Zygar 10% and Donphan. And you don't bring Boswell. I really cannot get into that. Especially since during the game, like, the Flying Bird kept saying that it was choice band Donphan, which it was not, because it switched move at one point. But he legit could have run it and 5-0'd your team. Like, there was only Mega Abomasnow to revenge, but there was no switch in. Absolutely not. If that was choice band and Donphan, you would have been dead. So
I agree. Yeah,
and also kind of going back to, even though this was an offensive build, and again, offensive builds can work, even though I'm more of a balanced player myself, I never really had the feeling that you were in a winning position throughout the game. Like, when I was watching it, I thought that your opponent, like, just, which was the Toronto Totodiles, right? He faced that one.
He did.
Yeah, I was just, basically, when I was watching the game, the comfort that your opponent had by just playing around the aggressive things you try to do just made me a little bit like, yeah, you were really never in control in this game, in my opinion.
It would, I have to agree with all your points. Definitely on the Buzzhole. I shocked, didn't see it this week. Shocked. I would have thought that had to be. I was definitely thinking on his team that would have to be bought like, surely, just to shore up like that ground weakness. And then, as you said, Zydog and Donphan on one team, like, that should have been bought. Just purely just switching. Even if it's just a choice banded Buzzhole, that comes in and still able to deal with the likes of Donphan and Zygarde very, very well. So I agree. I didn't like that by him. I kind of kept him where he was because, God, other than the slow bros below him winning, like, everyone below him lost at my power rankings. So I kind of kept him where he was on my own power rankings because I felt like it was a tough loss against Squid. He just meant because there was a few poor plays, but there was a couple of rolls that went against him. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there as well. One thing that I am going to just bring up very quickly is that there was a turn where he did not take into account what mod got hit by hail first. Did, and for me, those are the small little nuances you need to be able to kind of pick up on if you're going to be able to compete in playoffs and win championships. If you're not able to pick up on who's faster and therefore scout speed creeps or scout scarce, you know, you are going to be that average draft league player. You're not going to make the next level. So that'd be one thing I was definitely kind of looking at. I was like, could have done a little bit better there. But I'm not going to be too harsh. I'm not going to drop him any further below because I feel like the teams below him have more to prove to me than at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's definitely that he can still race like during the rest of the season. It was just that some fears of me really got confirmed this week, which made me drop him a little bit harshly, maybe. But the season is still long. I'm gonna see how that all plays out.
Yeah.
Speaking at your number 9 is something that remains there in the Chicago Shaymin-Skies. Now, before you're gonna talk about the Shaymin-Skies, for me, I put him at 5, which is already 3 spots lower than they were post-draft power rankings. And this is what I meant by the start of the video. I still believe in this team. I still really like the roster, and I want to factor that in. And I don't just want to drop a team to the bottom 7 spots for losing 1 game. So I dropped it, but and I can totally understand that if you have a team at number 9 and it doesn't win week 1, then I can definitely understand that you did not want to raise the team up.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of the crux of it, you know. Serene didn't win week 1, and I couldn't raise her up, but thankfully she didn't lose to the bottom team ranked below her. So, you know, she stays at number 9 this week. A couple of things on the battle though. After I was watching it, I thought the Miltank set was very, very nice. It was very well done. I thought it did a good bit of work for her, but I feel like patience with it twice. She lost a lot of patience with it twice, and I feel like her nerve a little bit with using Miltank, because Miltank was being very frustrating to Ash's team. You know, so I really feel like she should have been a little bit more patient with Miltank with switching in, kind of switching in and out of it. I feel like she should have kind of stayed in, because there was no answer for Miltank, and just keep on going for them, you know, keep on chipping away and allowing her team to be able to, you know, pick Ash's team off late game. I feel like she could have been a little bit more patient with that. The other thing I didn't like was hard switching with Mawile. Crazy. I know she was hard switching on a knockoff from a Scrafty, but at the end of the day, you're still coming in and taking damage with Mawile, and Mawile is inherently slow. You know, even when after Omegas, beforehand and after Omegas. So there was absolutely no need in excess chip on Mawile, when you know for a fact that if Mawile wants to kill something, it's going to have to take a hit in order to do that. So I didn't like the fact that she brought in Mawile as a switch during the game, and I feel like she could have killed Feeney. It was fairly obvious that Feeney was going to go down. Miltank was going to go down to the Feeney one way or another. I feel like she could have killed Feeney, take the drop Miltank there, and that would have been the ideal opportunity if Mawile was still fully healthy. Bring Mawile in, and Ash would have been under immense pressure at that point, because she effectively just brought in Mega Mawile for free, and she's after getting chip on your whole team because Miltank has just done seismic tosses all over the place. So she's going to get another kill. She would have been 5-4 then at that point in the game, and you never know, it could have been an entirely different matchup at that point. So a couple of different points there I would have liked to have seen done a little bit differently. But I think like the big fear I had for her team was that there was nothing outside Mega Mawile for me that gave me that wow factor on her team. Hence why I had her at number 9. That once Mega Mawile got enough chip from early game where it wasn't too much of a threat anymore, that she had very little in back to kind of really deal and put pressure on Ash's team. And that was my fear. I feel like that's still an issue, but we'll see how it goes in the weeks to come.
Yeah, okay, just my point of view real quick, because she already touched on a lot of things. Team building wise, I did want to give that on paper. I felt the build she had was pretty weak to Salamence, which was no problem, so we're not going to talk too much about that. But Silent Plus Miltank actually has really good brain, because it really forces either Kangaskhan or Jirachi to pass those wishes, which Jirachi didn't even came. And basically you had Kangaskhan low real early without it having protect, so that was something that was really viable for Miltank and really an annoyance. I like the potential of work up Jolteon. I just think it was too pulled way too early, because you only knew 2 sets or even half of 2 sets from your opponent. There's still a lot of the bag you haven't seen, and at the point it came in, you just click Thunderbolt and kill Finny. There was no reason to do it there at that point, because you were not going to sweep at that point. So that was something I didn't really understand why you pulled it at there, even though I like the bring. And something I also felt is that Guys made a lot of defensive plays where it wasn't needed. Like, there were threats. You had Mega Marvel, you had Zoroark, you had Latios, but outside of indeed what you said, sometimes getting in Mega Marvel on a hit, which is doubtable. Also stuff as Latios, for example, try to get that in more aggressively, because sometimes it was really easy to read what switch your opponent was going to make, which I felt like with her current build just hindered her a lot, because if she was able to just click buttons for free with Marvel, Zoroark and Latios this week, I felt like combined with the Seismitoss chip that Miltic already did, could have put her in a way better spot than where she ended up.
Definitely. But, you know, we definitely might see a different team in the next couple of weeks where she realised, look, Miltank did the work there, but I kind of let myself down afterwards, you know, and she might take that note and be like, you know, next, you know, we could see week 2, she pick up the W then, because she's after literally doing exactly what we were pointing out that could have been done better.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's actually go to my number 8, which you have at number 6, I believe, which is the Arkasan Razor Winds. I think you have at 6, right?
Yeah, I have my number 6.
Okay, so I had this at 9 last week, and I did put it up one spot. Now, also because, of course, the South Wilmers dropped, but even this is, by the way, the only team I rose which lost, I think. But there's still a few things, like I definitely didn't agree with every play of what he did. I'll go into more detail why later, but he faced against...
Jesus, Otto. That turn 1 switch into Scizor.
Yeah. Oh, but let's not get over. Let's just not jump right to that. I feel the fact that there was a really good possibility he would win at one. Like, no matter how he came there, he was really close at winning against one of the top-ranked teams, at least in my power ranking, also in yours. Of course, there were plays in between I didn't agree with, and but the build overall was decent in my opinion. And overall, after seeing that game and also taking consideration who he faced, I just had a little bit more confidence right now in the Razor Winds and in the Wilmers, but that's just for right now. But to give it a little bit of a few things about the game and its prep, no item of Vaporeon looked cool to me, especially with added armor to just try and counter Crawdon. But the only thing I had with it is, if you're gonna try and counter Crawdon, also have a move on your Vaporeon that hits Crawdon, because Scald and Ice Beam are not going to do that. Especially with the potential of Lumberry and subs. Like, I didn't really get that. If you make a dedicated counter with no move to hit it with.
I agree.
I would have liked to see Rock Setters this week too, because of the poor head control of your opponent. That's something you could have capitalized on. But I feel like if the team was kept healthy, that he definitely could have won. I also... I like how he just didn't sack Roserade mindlessly for his 3rd layer of sacks early in the game. The only thing I want to come back to is that he went for a Leaf Storm on the... not sure what was switched in, but I guess like he got 2 laser spikes against Celesteela. Then Celesteela was about to kill him. He switched Roserade out because he didn't want to sack Roserade just yet. Got it in later, and then instead of clicking a 3rd spike, he clicked Leaf Storm against, do I have it written down? No, I've not written against what it was, but there were other things.
The Uxie?
The Uxie, yeah, where Cheetah was just there to kill that too. The chip was not needed with Leaf Storm, but a 3rd spike could have definitely made a difference in that kind of sense, so that's not really something I agree with. Another play that which I definitely don't agree with, was roosting with Scizor on Mega Diancie. You never do that. If we went for Diamond Storm or Hidden Power Fire, if he had it at that point, which he didn't, but it would have been a logical bring, because he had Substitute as well to kind of bait the Bullet Punch. If you don't Bullet Punch there, and you get attacked, and you get knocked out, that was GG right there, you would have lost 4-0. I really don't agree with that play.
I can speak from experience that if you have Diancie in front of you and you Bullet Punch, you click Bullet Punch and you do not over-predict. because it will cost you. It will cost you if you are wrong, big time. So just click Bullet Punch. For those out there wondering if Mega Diancie is in front of you with a Mega Scizor, just click Bullet Punch.
Yeah, that's something
just click Bullet Punch.
Yeah,
don't do it to yourselves, guys. Don't do it to yourselves.
Yeah,
just kicking yourself after the game.
It worked out this time, but it's just something I really cannot behind. Like, in my opinion, that was a misplay, which should have cost him, but it didn't. And also with the Latios versus Celesteela, I didn't get the Roost play. As he showed Leechy before, you actually knocked out Celesteela later on, but you knocked it out 5 turns later and ended up in the exact same situation you were 5 turns before. So the whole Roost thing only costs you PP, and you're getting lead seeded for something else to come in. And that's still something that I got the feeling watching this game that you try to sweep a lot, but I think you should focus more on actually breaking, because yes, you can just kill his threats, like get his Celesteela out of the way as soon as possible, get his Yuxi out of the way with Teeter as soon as possible. Also with other things, like he brought a lot of setup, and a lot of his plays with roosting from both Scizor and for Latios were based on sweeping, which I thought, dude, there's a threat in front of you, kill it. Kill it before it can recover itself or do work. You don't need to sweep at any point in the game. If you just start breaking his walls and just eliminate his threats early on, you can win without sweeping, which was kinda... It's kind of something that I noticed this game. I'm not sure how you think about it, because you still have this as 6, so maybe you should give your perspective as well on this team.
I thought he had a couple of nice things going for him, a couple of nice ideas, a couple of bad ideas, a couple of bad misplays, as you were pointing out. I like the Latios prep with the Z Thunderbolt for the Celesteela. What's for that? Because that did help him open the door for Scizor to do work as well. So really nice about that. It was a good read on knowing that Scizor outsped Crawdaunt, and that was very nice. That was a good read. I give him that. There was a couple of nice things he did. I just feel for him atrocious. Like it was coming in on Uxie with a fire, where Uxie could be carrying Fire Punch. Like what? That was a tough start. I just don't know where he was coming out with that turn 1, and I feel like he was kind of on the back foot from there, and he was constantly trying to catch up, and he was constantly trying to put pressure and against his opponent. I just didn't feel like he was able to do it. I think he was able to do a good enough job, but at times there was a few questionable decisions that cost him. But I didn't feel like he was when I look at the teams below us or the teams around him, I feel like there was enough there for me to be inspired to say this guy is going to pick up wins, and if you're not prepped or adequately built to be able to deal with this guy, he is going to beat you, and he can beat teams badly. But I would have liked I would have liked to have seen him just be a little bit more sensible with a couple of things, and I feel like he actually could have pulled back and got the W there. Another thing is note as well, your point about Vaporeon. Can't get over how he doesn't have another move or a move to be able to OHKO Crawdaunt. That should have been something he should have put on that Vaporeon. Especially when you're dealing against Swords Dance Crawdaunt. That thing could have done insane work. If it wasn't for the fact that Scizor just happened to outspeed it and kill it. A bit crazy. But I still think, based on what I saw, there's a lot of potential there for JB to actually do an awful lot of work. So I didn't feel the need to drop him any lower than that.
Yeah, like for me, it rose a spot as well, because it was really, it was still, no matter how he got there, still really close at beating a top rank team. So I definitely still think he can, if he keeps, if he continues in that trend and faces also teams which are lower ranked than what we had before, there are definitely opportunities for him. So even though he lost, I rose him, but there's still some things for him to work on. But definitely,
definitely the fact that he was facing against a top team from post rank,
definitely
from our post draft rankings, that is something they have to take into consideration. Like that is a tough week 1 assignment, and for us to be able to sit here and say, I saw enough there for me to know that this guy's going to, is going to cause problems for the coaches throughout the season. Is like that's like regardless of the like, everyone wants to win, but regardless of the L, like he put in a solid performance for me. So I think that should be definitely something should be taken. He should be happier with and bring that energy into week 2.
All right, and then just round out the picture, which we have on the screen right now, we have the Slovenia Slow Rose, which rose 1 spot for me, 2 for you. So you kind of swapped your number 8 and your number 10 around. I hired mine as well by 1 point. So the Slow Rose are now at number 7 after your roast of last week.
It's deserved. It was deserved, and I'm not going to back down from it. It was deserved, but he did deserve to go up this week. He deserved to go up 2 this week on my rankings. He bet the number 8 seed, and he bet him comfortably. Dominated the game from start to finish. He had a couple of very nice things in his prep. The sub on Mega Bayonet to be able to scout Z moves.
It didn't work out, but it was great prep.
Great prep, and the fact that he was executing it, I was loving it. I was really digging it. I was like, that was some solid, nice plays there. And I felt the offensive pressure he was able to put on 6 was fantastic throughout the game. So I'm going to give him mad props for the way he played, but I'm not going to raise him any higher because his team is still crap in my opinion with those weaknesses. And I would give him also props for the fact that he did have a very bad matchup this week, and he still managed to put in such an impressive performance.
Yeah,
but his team is still booty. I can't rise him higher than he is, and teams higher than him have as well, if not better than him, and have better teams than him. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens for him in the rest of the season. Definitely, if you want to talk about coming back from a bit of a roast like last week, to come back and kind of shut us up a little bit, he's definitely done that, and absolutely delighted to see it. But I'm still not fully convinced that this roster in this incarnation is going to do anything later on this season.
I mean, for now, it's still for me. Like I should same what you said. You definitely have to give him that. He played really well under a matchup was not in his favor, and something which also what we said before. He faced the Toronto Tyrantrums. Once he knew that. Gengar was specs, which he found out by letting us go out and take a Shadow Ball in exchange for rocks, which are still a good exchange in my opinion. You get up your hazard and you confirm an item from your opponent. He basically played around Gengar with ease, which is definitely good for him. And overall, pretty solid game on his end. He wasn't in too much trouble, and I think the biggest complaint I have about his game, which sounds crazy because he didn't have the matchup, is that he only won 3-0. I feel like, especially the end game, if he played the end game a little better, it could have been a 5-0, but at least should have been a 4-0. But I mean,
just on that point now, Otto. I feel like I think you're right. He should have won 4-0. And I think probably the only bit of criticism we can have is that he didn't fully understand what someone's on 6's team can do. Like, he didn't understand last week's mechanic. Amon, because he was certain that, if I don't hit this thing with a physical move, this move fails, and of course it didn't, and he ended up getting bopped. For me, you got to be able to work on that a bit better. Like, if this game was closer, and he doesn't know that mechanic, so that'd be my one criticism there, is that he has to know what particularly when it comes to moves specific to Pokemon, a certain Pokemon, he has to know what those moves do. He has to know what that mechanic does if he's going up against them, so that if he does see it, it's not unknown. Otherwise he's going to get caught out and he's going to get punished. So that would be my one criticism. And if he had actually known what B-Class did, he would have been able to kind of maybe scout around a little bit, observe a 4-0 win. And you never know, that diff could come in clutch.
Yeah, but I think that, our criticism go hand in hand with that one. And of course, also the positive side that he actually got 2 kills with the worst Mega in the game, so still gotta call it that. I'm not gonna change my opinion on that. If you make it kill leader throughout the season, I might do something about that, but that's a challenge for you. We'll see how you do.
I'll give him props on his video title there now.
Yes,
I give him props for that.
For sure, I like that, man. I like it. Keep it up. Anyways, let's move to numbers 4 to 6, which of course you can see the Shaymin-Skies, which I already talked about where I talked about the team, and I dropped it 3 spots. Already explained why. Not gonna drop it even further for now. Hopefully it can just... I still like the team on paper, so maybe it's gonna start picking wins so we can move it up, and if not, it will drop later weeks as well. And your race wins at 6, which we already talked about too.
Yeah.
So let's fill in my number 6, which is your number 5, and we both dropped it to 2 spots, being the Scandinavian Stoutlands. So do you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, sure, why not? To be honest, right, I felt for Sky here. Like, talk about a tough week 1 matchup against Vespis. Like, that is, like, he couldn't have asked for a tougher match, to be honest. I feel like he really had a very tough match. And he had an impossible start. Like, his start, Bex, Rodham Heat coming, he got boxed by it. He literally got thrown back behind it, and I feel like it was done to Mesprit, turn 1, and Conk went down. It was effectively GG from there, because Vespis, well, at that point Vespis knew that one of his main was Mesprit. That's broken, and Conk, who can put pressure on my whole team, is gone, because like if you have Conk Keller, then like Mach Punch, Rex, Megalop Pony, and Kieran Black. And if you predict Lando, you can have Ice Punch, and so Conk could have done massive work to his whole team, but Conk went early, and like at that point, Vespis just knew, if I just navigate this game properly, like I've already broken his team. It's just a matter of picking and choosing my moments and picking them off. So I kind of felt bad for him, because it was just that just the start was so bad. But I didn't want to drop him too much, because I still think his team's very good, and I just feel like he went up against here. Who had exceptionally good prep, so you know I can't. I dropped him 2 for the L because teams below him have won, but I'm not going to drop him any further because it was just a bad week in the office against a very good opponent.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree on that sense, and like he had a tough battle week 1. He like played the number 1 in power rankings, which we both had, and admitted that he had a really good team. I still want to keep him top 6 because, again, I still like his roster a lot, and I think he will definitely bounce back against other teams, but just having to face this team was just a little bit too much week 1. Now to go actually, because I don't think he put in a bad effort, but just to go over what he had in the game, I like the AV comp prep, especially for when you face Kieran Black, so you can try to have more with Mach Punch, get it in more easily. Now, some things which he could have done differently and may take in consideration if they faced again in the playoffs is looking at his team. Mesprit was kind of his switch in on Megalopony, and on that sense I think that if that's the case, Mesprit should always have Thunderwave, regardless of Megalopony. But again, also against the Kieran Black and stuff like that, Thunderwave was really great in this matchup. I personally feel like with the clerics being Megalopony and Licky, which both get beaten by Conkelda. So that was something that I think could have helped you. And also...
To be fair, like, if Vesper's your Megalopony counter, should have been letting that get hit by anything else other than Megalopony, because... So it's going to get buffed, you know, if that gets down to 50%, it's going to get buffed. It's not a switching, so you can't... It's a tough one to have as your counter because it does get buffed.
Yes.
You know, slowly but surely. So it shouldn't be allowed to get hit. You know, so I get it was probably one of his only counters to Megalopony, but at the same time, there should have been something there you could have came up with. That would have been a little bit better.
Yeah, there's still 2 things here which I want to say about this team build. I doubt if Curse or Mega Scissor was a good bring this week. If you look at your opponent's team, he has Rodham Heat, which, if that doesn't go, you're never going to do sweep with a Mega Scissor. And Curse, in this case, costs you U-turn, which I feel like was huge, because every time you can U-turn on Rodham Heat, you can get in your Zygarde and click Choice Band 1,000 arrows, which actually hurts. Your opponent's best switch in was Landorus, which gets 3-shot by it. So, there you go. That's something that was really to keep in mind. Also, his Scarf user of choice was Tauros this time. I feel in every way Greninja was better this week. Also, because that could have potentially had U-turn. If you had that, you had such a great momentum, because you also had U-turn on Mesprit. If you had those 3 U-turners, you could have definitely made a better case and get in Conkeldurr more for free, get in Zygarde more for free, and just let those things do what they do best. And that's where I kind of feel like that he was at the back foot a lot in this game, and just didn't really got momentum at any point, which is also of course due to Vepsis playing really well, but I feel like prep-wise he could have done some things to at least try to position him a bit better in the actual game. So I hope he picks up on that.
I think he would. I definitely think he would. I just think turn 1. Crazy to think how many games had such a turn 1 has such a big effect on, but I just think turn 1 for him was so disastrous. Rock them, but I don't think that's going to be the case every week. So I think he will. Pick up the wins.
Yeah, for sure.
In weeks to come.
I still really like the team on paper, so I'm sure he will. Do
I do.
Yeah.
It's a really good team on paper.
Yeah, moving on to the next one. I moved it up 3 picks, 3 spots in U2. We have the Toronto Totodiles, which is making jumps for both of us, and I do have to say, I was really impressed watching this game.
Same. Very impressed. Very, very impressed. A lot of good stuff there by Squid. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, so I definitely hope he can keep the trend up, but just to kind of go into my thought process here on this particular game. Even though it didn't come into play, I like the Screech prep on Galvantula. I think if it actually would have worked out, we would have all lost our minds, so I definitely think that was great.
Yeah.
Stuff Zygarde made a lot of sense in this matchup. His team is really weak to ground, you need a Revenger, it actually outspeeds all his potential sweepers, so good one there. I also like the lure with Tornades having the Wakam Bear and Sledge Wave, that was also a really good prep. And Choice Specs Ninetales, it's just something you don't see coming. I can speak from my experience that when it hits hard, and you're not prepared for it, so that was really great on his spot too.
Blizzard.
Yeah.
I guess Blizzard hits hard. It hits really hard, guys.
It does.
You know?
One thing which I think is a missed opportunity here was your opponent's removal when you brought Sticky Webs 2, which he definitely wants to remove, was Coco and Rufflet, and only Defog, and then you don't bring Bishop. I think that could have been something to try and capitalize on in that sense, but I mean, who am I to complain? Like, the team worked out perfectly for you, so it was just something that came to mind for me. I got no plays I disagree with in this game, really, and he was just able to keep his win cons healthy, and basically what we already said when we were talking about the Wilmer's team. I got the feeling that the Totals were just in the driver's seat from the start till the end, even though that his opponent tried to keep punching into him with those big scary offensive mounts. He just kept his head cool, made the correct plays, and positioned himself into an end game where he pretty much couldn't lose anymore with Zygarde.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you've hit every single point on the head. I think we have to kind of just defend ourselves a little bit and say the only reason why he's not higher is because last week have won, so we can't put him higher until he's beaten those teams or those teams have lost.
Yes.
So I think it's not the fact that he actually was, but it's just that everyone else above him was equally or as good, or they were above him to start with. So
yeah,
we're not able to put him.
Who does he face week 2? Because I'm going to look it up right now. Okay, he's gonna face Tyrantrums and he's gonna face Stoutlands. Okay, I was about to say if he was going to face a team we have top 3 right now, and he would have beat them, he would have automatically been at least number 3 for me next week. But
minimum.
Yeah, minimum. But we definitely see the growth here, as we both bumped it up quite a lot. Which actually +3 is the biggest plus I gave this week. So I definitely see the potential, and I definitely hope he can keep showing that. To us throughout the season, but let's just jump into the top 3. And for us both, I bumped it up 2 spots. You won. We tried, man. If we don't say it correct this time again, we're sorry. We looked at the comments. Thank you guys for reaching out. We did our best.
No, honestly, thanks. But you're dealing with 2 imbeciles here, so forgive us now. But it's the appellation.
We're gonna go with that. If that's not it,
we're going to go the appellation or appellation. We apologize profusely, anyways. But the Appalachian Thunder I'll take this one. Just because I've made a fool of myself here at this point, so I might as well own it. But the Appalachian Thunder, I bumped it up 1, Auto bumped it up 2. Before I kind of dive in to Ash, I want to give huge shout out to like his team building stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, if you haven't checked out his team builder video, go do that and learn a thing or two about that.
Definitely, I thought it was very refreshing. It's at the start of his battles, you guys. If you haven't gone and checked out his channel or how the team building stuff, definitely do. Brand new take on it. Really fresh, really refreshing. And it's like, what was it, 8 minutes long, but he spent like most of the time explaining what the new format was. So once you get the gist of it and he talks through it, it was really, really refreshing. It's definitely a nice, good take on team building. So I want to definitely huge props for that. But we don't care about team building stuff on how you display it. We want to know what your team is, how effective it is, and how well you play. That's what we're here for, these power rankings. And to that point, I thought he did very well. Miltank was being immensely annoying to him. The only drawback I have there is that he didn't really have a good answer to deal with Miltank, and that's Miltank's set, but he did play around it very well.
It was a Scrafty, but that, yeah.
For me, like, Scrafty wasn't going to uncle it.
Yeah, Scrafty was not designed to take it on. That's maybe something that he could have looked at a little bit better.
A little bit more. I would prefer if he designed it to take on Miltank. I get why he designed it the way he did, but
for sure.
It wasn't designed to take on Miltank, and Miltank proved to be a bit of an issue, but extremely well, knowing that he needed certain mons to be in certain situations for him to win the game with his win cons, and I feel like he executed brilliantly. He didn't lose his cool, didn't lose his patience. What he saw in front of him, never panicked, never worried, got Miltank gone, rocks and chip on Mobile on Serene Grace's team. You know, we saw and we were discussing earlier, like Serene Grace had nothing in the back. After Mobile got the chip for her to be able to kind of come back against Ash, and basically it became the case where Ash just executed his game plan after Miltank was gone, because he had gotten in so much groundwork for him to be able to win. Other than that, I've no other point. I was very impressed with Ash's performance. I feel like if he is able to bring that sort of execution to it with his game plan to other games in this league, wasn't expecting him to be as scary of a coach as he was this week, but if he can continue that vein, this guy is going to be a threat, big threat. So I was really impressed by him.
Yes, and I definitely want to jump on that too. One thing I had with this team build, like I agreed for the most part. The only thing is I would have liked to see Protect on Kangaskhan Full Wish, as I thought Fake Out was kind of unnecessary this week. Like it was just Fake Out is one of those moves which, especially with Megalopody, Mega Man Champ, people just throw it on and expect it to do work because everyone runs it, where it wasn't really needed. He explained why he had it, but I didn't really agree with it. But basically it was all of it, and especially what use. Also one cool prep which he had was Outrage on Scarf Kyurem to kill Calm Mind Latios potentially, or Latias. That was a really cool prep in my opinion. Besides that, just really well support all around in his build, which we already said before. And the main thing for me which showed his skill in this game, which you already touched on, is he kept his head cool even though Miltank was seismitossing his whole team, and he was able to put it into a position where it couldn't keep itself healthy anymore, which is definitely well played in my opinion. And overall, once that was dealt with, he just played the game as he designed it, and that's one really good thing, and it's something that not a lot of people can do, including myself, like actually building and executing the team just as you build it, and that's something which I have to give him really good props for, because that's really hard to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Very impressive. Very impressive.
Yes, and with that, let's move on to the number 2, which is going to be the Salt Lake City Swampers, which, by the way, how do you like the new logo?
It's sick.
Yes, definitely looks great.
Yeah,
Definitely
big shout out to
is.
the guy who designed that.
Yes, but we're not here to talk about just the logo, but overall, you had this number 2 last week. I had number 3, but I dropped my number 2, so this one kind of automatically took the spot. Also because overall he played a really good game and a really good prep, in my opinion. Like we talked about Fire Punch on Yuxi before, but as you kind of say, it was maybe of a misplay of his opponent to go into Scissor there. I also think, looking at the team of his opponent and what he had, having Fire Punch there was a no drawback bring on Yuxi to kind of force his opponent in certain situations, which was definitely good. I also liked he saved his Yuxi for that fodder mid-game, to go Celesteela on the Bullet Punch from Scissor later on. Protecting the roost on Zapdos though was a bit of a misplay in my personal opinion. Like, when you're in with Celesteela versus Zapdos, especially when Lead Seed is up, you don't roost when Zapdos is half HP, because you can basically not touch Zapdos barring Earthquake, which on the roost, but you didn't have that obviously because you showed your whole moveset. And in that case, when Lead Seed is up, I feel like you could have easily went into a different mod, like for example your Vikavolt there, because it was kind of confirmed at that point already there was no Heat Wave. So that is something you could have done better, but that's just one turn I just quickly wanted to get out of here. And besides that, not many plays I can disagree with. Just keeping Gerda in the back healthy, which was really important, because Gerda also had to take on Mega Cheetah, which it did, and it stayed healthy. Yeah. So I feel like by doing that, by keeping it in the back, letting it be a threat, but also letting it be a effective counter, and still keeping it healthy for the late game, was what came true. I felt like throughout the whole game that this coach was on top of the match. He definitely still could have lost in the end to Scissor though, if he did make some plays which allowed RNG to come into play, but overall I just feel like he played a really solid game, but also because his opponent just also at a very solid amount of turns made good plays, so he was forced to react on that, so he cannot always make your optimal plays versus that. But I still have the confidence in this team, which I put in top 3 at the start of the season, and I still think they'll finish top 3 in the league in general.
I agree. I agree with most of your points, but I do have a slight bone to pick with this, even though it's number 2, which is crazy to think I have a bone to pick with my number 2. But it was great. It was a good win, not a great win. Great start. Uxie made good plays at the right time. 3 with not prepping for Z Thunderbolt Latios. He didn't get it all in prep, and it seemed to cost his mind last minute in the battle when it was Latios versus Celesteela. It was probably right to sack Celesteela, but for me, for that event, that bring, that was definitely going to be a major bring, a major potential bring against Celesteela, to be able to make sure that Latios can deal with Celesteela and be able to put in work against him. So, I would have liked if there was a moment in the game, it was Crawdon versus Scizor. He forgot Scizor had U-turn, even though U-turn was shown earlier in the game. He forgot Scizor had U-turn, and he didn't have the speed calc in front of him to see if Scizor outsped Crawdon or not. It was +6 at the time, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Something like that.
Aquajet. Aquajet. Come on. Kill this thing, and therefore close. So for me, it's a good win, but it's not a great win. He's my number 2. He's my number 2 still, but Squid were more impressive than him this week. Perform better next week, even if he does win. Say Squid and Ash perform better, then I will drop him, because there was definitely room for improvement, which is crazy to think at my number 2. It's just because he was my number 2 going to post draft, and I just feel like he won, and he had a good win. but it wasn't as impressive as the others.
Alright, but I still have confidence in this team, just as you do, but I definitely agree that it was a good win, not a superb win, but that's also the reason why I buffed up his opponent +1 as the only losing team. But let's jump into the final team, which we also share. We share the whole top 3 and the bottom team so far. I think the number 4 as well, so got a lot of them, but remaining at number 1 for both of us, the Helsinki Hydreigonz. And let me quickly start this one off here, because I feel like the prep overall was really good. Again, just as what I said about the post-draft team, the post-draft power rank by this team, nothing is there without a reason, and same is here for his team build, which I really like about it. It's not just, Leonard, he's a good mon, let's throw it on the team. No, it's there with a use, and really well thought of. And Choice Packs Rotom Heat just shows that, how this coach was able to visualize certain type matchups or certain scenarios in the game and build based on that, which is really hard to do and really good if you can. Also, one thing I want to say is that the defog play with Landorus defogging, because I definitely think it was a great play. He defogged away his own rocks for people that didn't watch the game. He defogged away his own rocks versus Scissor to get the evasion to drop from Scissor, and then got his rocks up and then got knocked out by Scissor. And what it allowed him to do is, because defog lowers the evasion of Scissor, he made it so that Rotom Heat will always connect a overheat, and that is just one of the greatest examples. Which, one of the things I've always said is make plays that don't allow RNG to happen, and that was exactly this. Don't just stay in and keep earthquaking, get knocked out, and get miss an overheat and get your Rotom knocked out, and then start whining about RNG. No, prevent RNG from even giving you a chance at ruining your game, and that was a really great play in my opinion. It's definitely something that, not just this play necessarily, but the thought behind it is something that so many coaches can learn from.
I agree. Prep brilliantly, executed fantastic. Excellent play. Still number one.
Yeah, it's a much else. Like he was in the driver's seat the whole game versus poor Skyrender, and
yeah. It was an impressive outing. Specs, genius. I don't think any of us would have expected Rotom Heat to be Specs, but when it did a load of work. I'm there's not. You have to be impressed. I'm not going to go too over the top of the praise for Vespers for another couple of weeks. I want to see him. Sky was a top tier for me, a top tier threat. I want to see him a couple more weeks.
Yeah, but let's not forget we have him still at number 1. He beat a team which we both said we really liked on paper. He did face a Calder, which was a huge threat to his team, and he was still able to play around it. So I definitely think he deserves all the credit for that too.
Yeah, big credit for him. I'm just going to wait a couple more weeks before I give him more credit. I want to see him keep the run going. I want to see him to keep that run going before we start hailing him as our savior. The Messiah.
We're gonna see. Of course, he has to keep it up. We're just 1 week in, so
yes. Exactly.
We're no guarantees just yet. But just the way he prevented RNG from happening, the way he was in control, combined with the draft he has, still just as the number 10. If you're number 1 for me and you keep winning with good prep, then there's no reason for me to even consider dropping you to second place. No matter how good the second number 2 is, if the number 1 doesn't make mistakes prep-wise, and with making mistakes, I'm not meaning winning, but not making mistakes in games and in battles, there's no way for me to change that, because I give that team the confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think with that, unless you want to add something to the Hydreigonz, we're through this.
Yeah, that's it. That's our power rankings for today, folks.
Yeah, so again, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I was really happy with the positive reactions on the first video. So we really love the feedback from you guys. Also some feedback we can work with based on videos in the future. So if you have any of that, let us know. Also, if you like it, let us know, because for both of us, it's the first time we're making power ranking videos like this, so we can use all the input we get, but we're happy to see that you guys enjoyed it, so that also gives us more energy to keep making them. So, and based on the matches we saw in week 1, I'm definitely already looking forward to the matches in week 2.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Looking forward to it, buddy. Already looking forward to it.
Alright. But with that, I'm gonna thank you guys for watching. I'm not sure if there's anything you still want to say.
Yeah, look, basically keep telling us if any feedback on the video, whether it be on the comment section, on Discord, Twitter. Definitely let us know. We'd love getting it back, and let us know as well what your PRs are down below or on Discord, whatever. We'd love to see what you guys thought of each team, and yeah, I think that's about it.
So yeah, see you guys next time.